Hi guys, welcome to Fraser Talks. It's been a while since I've been in front of the camera, but I felt like for this occasion, or at least for these types of videos, that I should be in front of the camera. It is kind of important for that because I wouldn't really have any sort of B footage to roll or anything like that. But anyway, basically, I just wanted to start this series where I talk about my day at the theater. Now, the day that I wanted to talk about today isn't a recent one. It was a not too long ago, but it was like a significant amount of time ago, like about a month and a half or so. I don't remember the exact date, but I still have my ticket stubs. I do collect my ticket stubs, so yeah, I'll look at those to put the right date in the title. But basically, it was a pretty special day because it was the day that I went to the theater to see, in this order that I'm about to list to you here. I saw The Woman in the Yard, Black Bag, and Snow White. Now, that's a pretty mixed bag right there, if you know anything about those movies. But seeing them, I mean, not necessarily because of the order that I saw it, but just those specific films on that day turned out to be something really special. And so basically, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give my short reviews on each of them. Then I'm gonna kind of end things off to show you what the point is that I'm trying to make here. Okay, so yeah, so the day started off. Funnily enough, I had no intention of seeing The Woman in the Yard. Like, Snow White was a given. Right? That is a complete, like, just controversial magnet right there. All right, there were so many controversies going on with it, so many people that were mad about it and stuff like that. I I just had to see it. I just had to see this spectacle because no one was expecting it to be good. All right, no one went in. I mean, I'm sure that at least like a decent amount of people went in hoping that it was going to prove them wrong and hope that it was going to be good. But pretty much everyone knew deep down that it was going to be bad, right? Like basically everyone knows that, right? But I went in there to see Snow White, Black Bag, and A Working Man. All right. Actually, I mostly went there to see Black Bag and A Working Man, but since I like to see as many films as I can see within a day, at least within a reasonable time frame, which, from my calculations, based on the numerous amount of times that I've went to the theater, it's 3 in a day because most films are around 2 hours or so. That's about as much as I can see until the theater closes for the day, right? That's why I just thought to just put Snow White in there, because I was gonna see A Working Man and Black Bag. I might as well see Snow White as well, right? But unfortunately, a Working Man was the first film playing, so I went to see that first. But the screening for it, it was not good. All right, the screen, for some reason they were having some technical difficulties. The screen was not coming on, right? You could hear the sound clearly and the lights went out, but for a good 10 to 15 minutes we were sitting there in complete darkness, kind of looking up at the person in the booth, the booth up top in the theater, to see what the problem was. But they just kind of came to us after 10 to 15 minutes and said, something's wrong with the screen, so you're gonna have to see a later screening, or you can switch your films. And funnily enough, even though I had no intention of seeing The Woman in the Yard, I don't like to waste time. There is no way that I was gonna wait, and because like these things, these experiences are really special to me. I like to plan ahead, like look at the time so that I can specifically time when I'm going to see certain films at certain times, so that I can get in and see as much as I can, as reasonably as I can, and then leave as soon as possible, because I travel a really great distance. Transportation isn't the easiest thing. It is there, but it's not the easiest, and it's definitely not cheap, right? I travel damn near 100 miles to and from to get to the theaters. All right, so I like to see as much as I can see. So there's no way that I was going to waste a spot for one film or ask for a refund or wait for a later screening, because then that would have gotten me leaving there like pretty darn late. So yeah. The only other film that I was interested in that was playing around the same time as the incident was The Woman in the Yard. It was like literally about to start. So I asked them if I could change it. They said it was okay, so I just walked in and sat down. And so here's my short review of The Woman in the Yard. The Woman in the Yard is a very interesting film. All right, it's about this small family, just a mother who recently got injured in a car accident, and her two children. She has a little daughter and a teenage son. All right, they live on this farm in the middle of nowhere. I have absolutely no idea where they live or anything like that, but one day they're having a pretty shitty day. All right, they wake up, the power is out. There's little to no food in the fridge. Pretty much everything's damn near expired in the fridge, so their dog is hungry. Everyone's hungry. And things just aren't going their way, because like not too long ago, about like a few weeks before when the film is set, the father and of course the woman's husband, that being the woman's husband, they got into this terrible car crash where he died, and she really, really badly injured her leg. So she's on crutches, limping throughout the entire film, right? So yeah, they're just having a really, really bad time about it, but they're trying to keep themselves together, just to be a family and stuff like that. So yeah, but then all of a sudden, in the middle of all that, they look outside and suddenly notice, just completely out of nowhere, this woman wearing all black, like she's going to a funeral, like black veil, black gown, black dress, just everything covering her face and everything, just sat in a wooden chair out like at the front of their property. And then, as it turns out, just to not spoil, I mean, yeah, I'm gonna have to spoil it anyway, but yeah, just sat in front of their property. And as it turns out, she is a sort of a magical being, or like a supernatural being. She has powers and stuff like that. Basically, like, she's trying to take them out, all right? And they have to figure out, well, they don't have to figure out why, but they just have to figure out a way to be safe on it, or at least a way to escape and stuff like that, right? And just spoilers, because I just have to mention, okay, I don't have to mention it yet, but let's just keep going. So The Woman in the Yard is not a good film, all right? I did not see a single trailer for it, nothing like that. I just kind of noticed it as a film that was showing. I briefly looked at the IMDb, not looking good. The Rotten Tomatoes, not looking good either. And just looking at the premise, it just looked like one of those other basic bad horror movies that I just had no interest in seeing at all, right? But I just didn't want to waste a space, so I went in, and it's bad. It is a bad film, trust me, but it is not that bad, all right? So as far as the positives go, I'd have to say the lead actress, forgive me please, I don't remember her name, but the lead actress, the guy who plays her husband, he's a very recognizable face. I'm sure if you've seen his face that you would recognize him. Him and the lady who plays the woman in the yard, she's also very recognizable. They all do a great job. The kids are gonna be kids, all right? People don't expect much from kids acting. The little girl was pretty good. She was fine enough. The teenage son was bad. I'm sorry. They gave him some emotional scenes, and he was not ready for him. It's like no disrespect to him. He's still got a lot of growing to do, a lot of living to do to get better at acting. But he was pretty bad. He was pretty bad. Plus, his character was a little brat, a little asshole, you could say. But it wasn't too bad. It wasn't anything that sort of like ruined the experience for me or anything like that. Not that it could have ruined it for me, since just the overall film is pretty bad. But yeah, it's a very cliche heavy film. And for a long time, nothing really happens in the film. Nothing really significant sort of happens in the film because the kids, they're just kind of kids, and then they just kind of walk around like, oh, we're poor. And yes, I get it. Like it's like that in itself isn't bad, but it's just that like nothing really stood out. Nothing really happened. They just kind of walk around the house, kind of feeling sorry for themselves, kind of really not knowing what to do because they're pretty far away from town, right? And then this woman shows up in the middle of the yard. Well, not the middle, but like the front of the yard. And she goes outside and talks to the woman. And the woman seems to know a lot about them, right? And just to spoil it so that I can get this out of the way, the woman is a manifestation of the mother in the movie, of her of like the dark side of her psyche. She is, I guess, as the film puts it, like she is the dark side. She is the the bad things that you don't tell your kids. She's the dark side of your mind that you kind of keep buried inside, that you don't really want anyone else knowing, just so that they can think that you're normal, or think that you're okay. She's that dark side of your brain, right? And as it turns out, it's that the mother was going through so much pressure, so much pain, so much hurt and trauma, that she literally, like, unknowingly got up every morning, and she would say, like, she would say, give me the strength, right? Like like a lot of people would say, like, Lord, give me the strength, the strength to carry on, the strength to heal, the strength to get better, and just to live a better life, right? People would say that all the time, right? But when she would say it, right, she wanted it to mean that, but she didn't really mean that. What she meant in her mind, and what her mind read it as, was, give me the strength to end it all, because she was just done. She was just done. And because it was just so much to bear, with all the pain and just all the trauma of losing her husband the way it was. Like, they're just their lives aren't going great. She's just getting a terrible time at it, and she just felt like ending it all, but she did not have the strength to, so she asked the Lord to give her the strength to. And that's why the woman in the yard came, like, manifested into reality to do that, right? Because she's not really going after the mother herself. Yes, she is ultimately, but she's looking to take the kids with her, because it's just like, because like that's just how she feels in her head. Like, she's just so fed up of her shitty situation that her mind is just driving her into these dark thoughts, right? That's what we see in the film. Like, she would have visions of killing her kids. Like, yeah, basically the problem with the film is that, like, it is terribly cliche, terribly kind of, like, honestly boring. It was pretty boring for the first damn near 2/3 of the film was boring. I'm not gonna lie to you, right? Because it was just cliche after cliche of just, like, boring stuff happening, nothing really happening with any sort of urgency or any sort of energy. The pacing is pretty bad. The length of the film isn't bad. It's your regular hour 30, hour 40 minute long film, but it's just, yeah, it just stretched out, itself for just that pacing, just was not good at all for about 2/3 of the film. Just cliche after cliche of happening, or just boring cliches happening, right? But then when they start doing the big reveals, kind of, bringing things to a close in the last third, that's when the film got my attention. That's when everything sort of came together and became not so bad, because once they explained everything about her being so traumatized, and her finally explaining to her kids, because she lied to her kids she said that they were just in a car accident and they just died, well, and their father just died and she got injured. That was basically what happened, right? But she lied to them, right? Because she was the one who was driving, and they had an argument earlier, basically saying that like she wasn't happy, she wanted to focus on her career, but then he bought this farm in the middle of nowhere, and they've got these two kids that she of course will have to play a significant role in playing, in raising, of course. And she likes the kids, but she, you can kind of tell the way how she behaves, the way how she moves, that she doesn't really love the kids like that. All right, like, like she loves them well enough, but she doesn't love them so much to where it's like, my life is this now, right? Even though they made that decision together to buy the farm and to raise them on this farm and have this, like, kind of like how he grew up with his family, the husband that is, who died. She wanted that, but she didn't want that. Like she didn't want that, right? She didn't want to give up her career as much as she had to, living in the middle of nowhere and having to raise those two kids. She didn't want to give up as much as she gave up, and then she just kind of got fed up. And so the attitude that she had when she got into the car and behind the wheel, she was speeding, and I'm pretty sure it was raining, and the woman in the yard shows up, all right? Because the way how it works is that once you get so fed up, and in your mind those dark thoughts, those dark images just take over to the point where you want to give up, to the point where you just want to get out of your situation anyway, anyhow. That's when the woman in the yard shows up, right? She is the dark thoughts manifested, right? When they're that strong, that's when she shows up. So she sees the woman in the yard in the rearview mirror, and that distracts her enough to where she crashes into an oncoming vehicle, right? Well, and I'm not sure if she crashed into the vehicle or if like she almost did, but she like swerved and crashed into a tree, and then that killed her husband. But either way, basically it was her fault, right? Because she basically sort of kind of wanted it to happen, right? And she regrets it, but even that dove her deeper into the dark thoughts, which brought back the woman in the yard, which is why she came to the house to take the kids and to basically fulfill the woman's wishes, which is for her to end it all, which of course we all know what that means, right? So yeah, that part is interesting, just like the way how it manifests trauma into reality as the woman in the yard. Like that was what kept me going, and that was what, once they explained that in the story in the final third, that's what finally made me sit up in my seat and go, oh, there is something interesting about this film. There is something that was well thought out about this film, because is that, like, I love the way how it deals with trauma and pain and just like restlessness and just having just like a tired mentality, just like a tired spirit. I like that about the story, but it's just not executed in the best way, and it's mostly because of the pacing, right? The special effects are great. As I said, the mother, the woman in the yard, and the husband there played really, really well, right? Yeah, that's pretty good. And so yeah, that's the special effects, the performances, and then just the way how, just the subject matter of it is what interested me a lot. And that final third is pretty good once they're putting things together. It is, I guess, what attracted me the most in that final third is just the effort. There was just maximum effort. I don't know anything about this director. I've never heard their name before. Don't even remember their name, okay? But they tried really, really hard, right? And I'm not gonna spoil the ending just in case you're interested in watching the film. And I honestly do recommend that I don't recommend, but if it sounds interesting, if the subject matter sounds interesting, I think that you should watch the film. But yeah, it's just the effort, like you can see that there was a genuine, like, huge effort put in by the team to really convey the message and to really like hit the points home of what they were trying to convey with like trauma and just pain, restlessness, all that stuff that I mentioned before. All of that stuff is interesting in the way how they portrayed with the woman in the yard, right? And there are some good elements to it, but that execution, that pacing just completely kills it, because literally 2/3, that is the majority of the film. That's 75% of the film. Well, this is not 75%. This is it. Anyway, yeah, it's most of the film is pretty boring. If you can sit through cliches, if you can sit through a little bit of bad acting, some pretty boring pacing, some pretty boring set pieces, some pretty cliche stuff, you will find, I think, if you stick with it, because it's just not that long of a film, you will find, at least by the end, some purpose to watching it, some purpose for its existence. You will see that effort that I mentioned. If that sounds like something that's worthwhile to you, I think that you should give it a try, because they really tried really hard, but it just did not come together in the best way. Even the ending, I had to sit with it for a while, because the way how it was paced and the cutting back and forth, and just even how the film was edited, it kind of mixed things up, and it kind of throws a whole lot of information in that final third that I think should have just been peppered, given to the audience throughout the film, instead of shoving it all into the final third. So yeah, it doesn't all come together, but looking at it at the tail end of it, I thought that it was a worthwhile experience. It's not something that I regret watching, and honestly, it probably is a more interesting film to talk about than A Working Man, because I haven't been hearing the best things about it. I heard that it's fun, and I'll probably see it at some point, but I don't really need to see the Working Man. Out of all the films of that day to go bad, I'm glad that it was at least The Working Man and not Black Bag or Snow White, because those are two films that I really wanted to see. So yeah, The Woman in the Yard, very interesting film, a lot of genuine love put into it, right? Not going to spoil the ending, because I do want you to watch it for yourself. I'm not sure if it's on streaming. I don't think it's in theaters anymore, but it should be on streaming pretty soon enough, so just keep an eye out for it, or look for it on demand, probably, if you can purchase it there or rent it to watch it online or something like that, because it is pretty interesting. It is a pretty interesting film that deals with pretty interesting topics, and I appreciate the effort, and I appreciate the performances and the special effects and stuff like that. It was all pretty good in that aspect. So yeah, a pretty worthwhile film to watch, in my opinion. So that was A Woman in the Yard. That was how my day started out. So yeah, not a bad start, honestly. It's not a good movie, but it's not a bad start either. It's not that bad. So yeah. The next film that I watched was the film that I wanted to see the most, which is A Black Bag, right? Well, not a black bag, but just Black Bag, right? It's about these spies trying to it's Michael Fassbender's character trying to find a mole in the super spy super spy company, super spy organization that he works for, right? It's these bunch of super spies. They've all got their own specialties and stuff like that, and their own missions and stuff like that, and they have like drinks and relationships and stuff like that. So, and of course, since they're spies and they're on missions, they don't even talk to each other about everything that they do, right? And whenever it comes to a topic that they can't talk about because it's classified to their mission, they would just say black bag, right? Like that's the term that they use all the time, black bag, so yeah, that's a pretty interesting term and all. But yeah, it's basically Michael Fassbender's character trying to find a mole in their spy agency, right? He's tasked with finding it because it could mean world calamities, right? Because of these nuclear bombs and stuff like that, of this machine that they made that got into the wrong hands. So they gotta find the person who gave it to the wrong hands. That's basically the plot of the film. Pretty stacked cast, man. Michael Fassbender, Kate Blanchett, what's the dude's name from Bridgerton? Oh, my guy. He's a really good actor. Reggae Jean Page. I'll never forget that name. Reggae Jean Page. Not even sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but yeah. Yeah, and also Pierce Brosnan is in here as well, and he gives a pretty good performance. He's a really great performance, I should say. He's only in there for about 10 to 15 minutes, but it's always great to see him around. So, Black Bag. I was expecting this to be one of my films of the year. All right, I was really expecting this to be one of my films of the year when I went in. I'm just gonna, because I'm pretty over time right now, but I'm just gonna keep it short here. I did not like this film as much as I thought I was going to. After seeing the trailer, and honestly, I should have saw this coming a mile away, because I saw the trailer for it, and it did not wow me. I was not initially gonna go see this film, but then I saw a bunch of reviews for it, and they were really praising it up to the high heavens as one of the best films of the year, even though it was just, I'm pretty sure it was February. Either February or early April, I'm not too sure. Pretty sure it was late February. But yeah, pretty much everyone and their mom will say that that this was such an underrated film, such a great film, that you just have to go and support it, have to go and see it. So I like Michael Fassbender, I like Kate Blanchett, and I like Reggae Jean Page. I like to see him in everything that I can see him in. So I'm like, what the heck? Let's go watch this movie. It should be a great film. I like political spy thrillers and stuff like that. So plus it's not too long of a film. It's about an hour and a half. So yeah, I went in, saw the movie, and then I saw the other movie. That's exactly how I felt. It just felt like it came and went to me. All right, like everything about, I can't really think about a bad thing about the film except that it was just so stale. It's just it's a very bare bones, like spy political thriller kind of thing, right? Like there's literally, I think that there's literally just a single gunshot that happens in this film. Not that a film needs gunshots or anything like that, but yeah, it was just weird how things played out for it. It was just like, okay, the best way that I can describe why I don't like this film that much is because it felt like a genre exercise. Like, I've heard that term thrown around, and I don't think that it's used in the way that I'm using it, but when I say genre exercise, it literally, like, watching Black Bag felt like reading a textbook. It felt like I was reading a how to make a spy thriller textbook. Like, it's saying like, oh, like it's like showing me like a freaking calculus math formula of how to make a spy thriller, because it has all your basic stuff, right? It's got your spies, of course. It's got the political intrigue and the reasons as to why they do it. It's got twists and turns, and characters not being as they seem and stuff like that. It's got like investigations and the spy camera stuff and disguises, and like people having their own little quirks and stuff like that outside of the job. It's got pretty much everything that you would expect from a spy thriller. It's like it's got this like casual, just like rigid ingredient list, and it makes a pretty like it just makes this basic film. It's just such a basic film. I watched it and I liked it. It was funny. Everyone did a great job. The little special effects that was in there was great. The pacing was great. The writing was great. Everything about the film that could have possibly led it to being a great film was great. But in the end, it's not great. In my opinion, it's not great, because it's just so basic and by the numbers. Like they don't, I don't expect them to rewrite the handbook on how to make a spy thriller or try to make a super unique film or anything like that. But just make it interesting. Like give it something, give it some pizzazz. There was no pizzazz. There was like, you know, it's just such a weird feeling I had watching this film on just walking away from it, because it is, all of its elements are good, but it just adds up to this really basic, really just bare bones, basic ass thriller, man. It was such a disappointment to me, because I said that I like, but I love Michael Fassbender, okay? I love Michael Fassbender, Kate Blanchett. She's a damn good actress. Reggae is great. Everyone is great. Everything is working as it should. Everything sounds like it should. Everyone's talking like they should. The special effects looks like it should. The writing is good. Everything is on point. So why is the film so basic? It's because it just is. Like, everything is great, but it's basic. They don't do anything significant. They don't achieve anything significant. Once it's revealed, you know, like why? Because I'm not gonna spoil it if you still want to see the film, because you know I would want some other perspectives on this film, because the only things that I've heard is that it's such a great film, but I don't agree, and I don't see anyone else disagreeing with. I mean, well, agreeing with me, that is. But yeah, it just ended up sounding like such a basic, just bare bones spy thriller that just has all these great elements but didn't add up to much in the end. So those are my thoughts on Black Bag. I just really expected more from it, and yeah. So if you agree or disagree, I would love to hear your opinion in the comments below. So that's about it for Black Bag. It was a pretty disappointing film in my opinion. So the last film that I saw on that fateful day was Snow White, and I might get flogged for this, but I'm not gonna lie to you. I liked Snow White more than I liked Snow. I can't believe I'm saying Snow White was the best film that I saw that day. I'm sorry. Look, I'm not gonna spend a lot of time on this. All right, but Snow White was a pretty good film. It's a pretty good film in my opinion. I'm not gonna lie. I don't see what other people are saying. Okay, I really like this film. I'm not gonna lie to you. It's about 15 to 30 minutes too long. Okay, I will give you that. And it's not the best film, okay, but I like the music. I liked pretty much all of the songs. I wish if they had just left like the one thief. I think that they should have just cut out the band of thieves entirely, except for the one guy who played Snow White's love interest, right? But besides that, besides some pacing issues with the 15 to 30 minutes that I mentioned and the band of thieves, like, who should have basically gotten cut out of the whole film because they served basically no purpose besides a scene or two that could have gone to the dwarves or to Snow White, and you know, it didn't really add up to much what they did. But like, yeah, I did not hate this film at all. Rachel Zegler was a damn good actress in this film, alright? She is the reason why this film works, alright? This film would just be another basic Disney remake if it wasn't, and it is, it's not far from a basic Disney remake, but it's not a basic Disney remake, alright? So, yeah, Rachel Zegler absolutely killed it in this film. I loved every single second that she was on film. She just lit up the entire screen while she was on screen. Okay, she's a really good singer, really good actress. She delivered. She completely just killed it in my opinion, and she's the reason why. Not gonna lie, I had a smile on my face the entire time that I was watching this film. All right, through all the good parts, through all the bad parts, I had a smile on my film. I was having, I'm not gonna say the time of my life, but I was having a damn good time watching this film, because it just like the music worked for me, and the special effects on the dwarves. Yes, it is a bit uncanny valley, but it didn't look that bad to me. The voice acting was good on them. All right, the pacing, besides the parts that they could have cut out, about 15 to about a half hour, it was pretty good, you know. Gal Gadot, yes, she is bad, yes, but that is also what kind of makes it fun. She tries really, really hard to seem evil and to seem like an unlikable character, but it is Gal Gadot. She's like one of the most beautiful women to ever walk this earth. Like I'm sorry, you cannot play a villain unless you are like one of the best actresses ever. But and which she's not. She's not a good actress at all. But she tries really hard, and I appreciate the effort. It's not good, but it is good. Like when she tried to sing, it was bad. It was bad, but it was good. I liked it. I'm not gonna lie. I appreciate the effort, and it creeped into that so bad that it's good category for me, right? And the rest of the film is actually good. The guy who plays like the thief that Snow White gets involved with, he's good. Um, the guards aren't given much personality, which they don't really need much, but pretty much everyone who was a central character in the film did a damn good job at it, right? I like the musical numbers, the kids around, the kids who were there in attendance with me, they enjoyed them as well. I think I liked them as much as they did, honestly. But yeah, man, I was expecting the worst with this film, and I'm not even saying this from a perspective of like, oh, it's bad, but it's not as bad as I was expecting it to be. That's not the angle that I'm coming with here. It's that it is literally not a bad movie. That's what I'm saying. I am legitimately saying that I think Snow White is a good movie, and I recommend that you watch it. Okay, I don't want to spend too much time on this because I'm gonna get fucked for this, I know for sure. But it's not bad. I swear to you, it is not bad. Please give it a chance, okay? If you still hate it, I understand. All right. If someone looks at Snow White and says, "This is a bad movie," just like controversy aside, just like just as a basic, just like fan going in to watch. Well, not fan, but just a regular cinema goer going to watch a film and just giving their opinion. If your opinion is that it's bad, I understand. All right, I can look at everything that I enjoyed and see why someone would not like it. I could completely see that, but I like it. Okay, I liked it. I'm not gonna lie, and I'm honestly not against watching it again, man. I can't believe it because it's been at least 2 years ever since that clip went viral of what she said about the old Snow White and just like her thoughts on just the way how the film handled things, right? Like that went viral on just some other comments that she made about politics and stuff like that just rubbed people the wrong way, right? And just pretty much buried any chance that this film had of being a success with a general audience, even because I'm pretty sure that it even crept into them. She just kind of took the place of Brie Larson in that respect. Yeah, so she pretty much buried the film herself. Well, no, not herself, because the creative decisions that Disney made, of course, also had a really big part in it, but this was a joint team effort, all right? Rachel did some of the heavy work in burying this film. Disney did a lot of the heavy work in burying this film, but either way, they both had a shovel in their hands and they both pushed some damn good amounts of sand onto this thing, all right? So that's why this thing is flopping real hard. But it is not bad. I'm sorry, it is not bad. Just after what I'm pretty sure was a development hell in making this film, all right? For it to come out this good, yes, I'm saying not decent, I mean it, I like literally good. For it to come out good like it did, I was just shocked leaving the theater. I still had a smile on my face. I had a smile from the very first scene, and I had a smile at the very last scene. All right, I don't like how they close things off. I felt like it should have been more of a confrontation between Snow White and the Queen, right? But yeah, but it was still fine the way how they close things off. Not gonna spoil that just in case you want to watch it for yourself, because I do recommend that you watch it for yourself. Okay, but it still all came together in the end to be interesting and good film that really usurped my expectations, because I was expecting garbage. I was expecting a freaking Captain Marvel-esque terrible film, but it wasn't that. you know it wasn't that at all. It was a good film, and an above average to good film in my opinion, man, just for the reasons that I mentioned. Rachel Zegler killed it. I'm sorry. Listen, the next movie she does, if it's something that I seem interested in, I'm gonna go see it, honestly, because she just lit up every single scene that she was in. She brought joy to me. She brought joy to the film, right? She was the best thing in it because she actually put like freaking buckets of effort into this film. It's obvious that she was into it to some capacity, right? She couldn't have hated the source material that bad, because she did put a lot of effort into it, right? So yeah, just overall, Snow White worked for me, man. It just worked for me. All right, now that you know my thoughts on the three films that I saw that day, here's the point that I was trying to make, right? Here's what was so interesting and what I came away with surprisingly at the end of that day, all right? It was just weird because The Woman in the Yard and Snow White, people would consider those to be bad films, and The Woman in the Yard is a bad film, and if you call Snow White a bad film, I understand why you would say that. But it's just so interesting to me that in the end, after coming away from that day, the best movie, what some people are calling the best movie of, well, one of the best movies of the year, so far at least, Black Bag, it's so interesting to me that I walked away with that being the worst movie, in my opinion. Because, and it's like, it's not because I was so disappointed by it. Yes, I mean, yes, I have to admit that played a small amount, but in the end, if it was it was boring. It's because everything else was just a more interesting watch. The Woman in the Yard it is leagues below Black Bag, but I like it. I like it more, and I'm more interested in it because it takes not a risk necessarily, but it's just, there was a lot of effort put into it being unique. There was a lot of effort put into stylistically conveying its message to the audience that I really, really appreciated, that really made me, yes, as I said, appreciate the film, because of how much effort that they put in, and because of, that final third where they kind of sort of loosely wrapped everything up in a bow. That's what made me appreciate the film a lot, and made me appreciate the effort that they put into it. And Snow White genuinely surprised me, genuinely has some genuine heart in there, right? There's genuine effort put into Snow White as a film. But it's like, if someone calls it bad, I understand it, but it worked for me because there was heart there, there was effort there to make something good, and it came out good, decently good in my opinion. But it's not as good as Black Bag, but I like it more than Black Bag, because Black Bag is just such a, as I said, it's a genre exercise. It is a textbook on how to make a decent, just like a basic spy thriller, and that's what it ends up being at the end of the day. It just felt like just such like an ABCD kind of thing, just like basic, by the numbers, just just like all these great elements come in to make just a pretty simple, pretty basic, pretty just disappointing by the numbers spy thriller. That's what it ended up being. And it's just so it just felt so weird to me that the two, like, quote unquote, like, worst films, like, I'm sure people would consider those two, if they watched them, some of the worst films of the year, honestly. It's just so weird to me that it came out to me liking those more because there was more put into it. It just wasn't basic by the number stuff. I haven't seen most of the Disney remakes because they just don't interest me at all. But I listen, I just had to see Snow White. Everyone has to see Snow White, okay? Everyone wanted to see Snow White for that reason, or just avoid for the same reasons, but yeah, whatever. But it genuinely surprised me. They both like The Woman in the Yard and Snow White genuinely surprised me because they both have love put into them, they both have effort put into them, and you can see that and feel that from the screen. That's why I like those a lot more than I like Black Bag, because Black Bag is just, it's a better film, but it's just such a basic film, and that was weird to me. It felt weird because I I just never experienced that before in the theater or even at home with my DVDs and stuff like that. So yeah, that was basically just why I wanted to talk about my day at the theater for that day. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe. Hit the notification bell to know when I upload next. This has been Further Talks. I'll do more of these, of course. Of course, when I go to the theater and I'm finally not lazy, I'll do more of these. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.